हेलो माइक चेक। आई होप हम लाइव आ चुके हैं।
Antinatalism is
देखना पड़ेगा। हेलो। हेलो माइक चेक। ओके, हम लाइव आ चुके हैं। तो here's the thing. Since I'm a very much pro antinatalism for the past few days, and I have been very vocal about it, I thought maybe this should be a great opportunity to counter this gentleman's argument about antinatalism and why they are selfish and illogical. This video is made by Pro Extinction. I don't know why. I mean, if you're interested, you can like follow their channel. They have around similar number of subscribers as me, a little bit more actually. Life is inherently negative because suffering is the only bad thing in universe. Okay, first a heads up. I haven't seen this video. My reaction will be completely genuine, non-scripted. So let's see what this gentleman has to say. And it's okay we don't agree on something, but please don't send hate to this person, as he's just expressing his views, and so am I.
antinatalism is an utterly selfish philosophy. It is actually built to fail. So in this video, I'm going to debunk antinatalism step by step, and I'm going to prove to you that antinatalism is selfish and illogical. So to begin with, I'm only going to talk about ethical antinatalists, antinatalists who are antinatalists for ethical reasons. I'm not going to talk about environmental antinatalists or child free. So to begin with, ethical antinatalists are people who don't.
That is an interesting choice that you're just picking up the ethical antinatalist, not the environmentalist, because environment also comes under the ethics if you are ethical enough to save your own planet. That's what I believe. But let's see what he has to say.
Don't give birth to children for ethical reasons, because if a child comes into this world, they are going to suffer. So suffering is inevitable in this world, and no parent can assure their child's safety. So why make a child from the scratch just to come into this world and pointlessly suffer, right? So this is their philosophy. So here is the first problem of antinatalism. So you people say that suffering is bad, so we don't want to create children who will suffer, who will come into this world pointlessly and suffer, right? So you are a human, and you can decide that, okay, let me not have a child, let me use a condom, right? You can decide that. But what about the animals? They are also suffering here pointlessly, and they are also suffering. If your goal is reducing suffering, then you are doing a bad job at it.
First of all, if we're consciously not bringing a child into this world just because we don't want them to suffer, uh, it's for that child. It's not for the rest of the world, even though it helps the rest of the world. If I'm not bringing an individual, he will not leave a huge carbon footprint. He will not compete with other organisms, and he will not affect the ecosystem at all because he doesn't exist. The point about animal is kind of stupid at this point because I am not the parent of those animals. Okay, I am the parent of the child that I am going to bring, on which I have my own control, not these animals. So this argument in itself feels very genuinely, I don't know, it's just outreached. Okay, I mean, if an animal suffers, we humans actually do a great job by neutering them and sterilizing them and then leaving them back into the wild so that no new offsprings could come. The recent example is Supreme Court bill that was passed for stray dogs. They would be kept inside, neutered, and then left back on the street. So that is the core aspect of antinatalism. And no, we are not doing a bad job. We are doing extremely good job at it. Let's con let's continue.
Because if your goal is reducing suffering, you have to add animals also. Animals suffer the same as humans.
No, actually, both have different layers of suffering, and it doesn't mean that we have to bring animals into this. Okay, antinatalism, you see that symbol back there, that symbol is a human baby. It's not about the entire ecosystem. Okay, animals suffer because of their own reasons. Okay, they live in the wildlife, but we as humans, we have justice as a virtue, and justice is totally man-made. If we preach justice, it's for us, and that's what separates humans from animals. Humans and animals are not same.
Animals are equal to humans. When I say animals are equal to humans, I'm not asking voting rights for animals. I'm saying their suffering is the same. For the victims, it is the same. So here is where antinatalists become selfish. They are like, okay, let's save our own asses. That is the most disgusting, most selfish, most pathetic thing you can do. Humans are the only species on earth that are capable of solving everyone's suffering, including the animals. So we have a moral obligation to do so.
No, actually, we don't. We don't. See, if we want to have offsprings, that's our own personal choice. And if we believe that if a certain animal is a pest, it's a nuisance to the environment, then we choose to neuter them and exterminate them as humanely as possible. But we cannot take away the right to reproduce from the wildlife, as it would cause mass extinction. That's basically a very nihilistic approach, that we should end all types of life, not even animals, even trees. We should cut them all down, because in the end, they are also going to suffer. Just because you cannot hear them screaming doesn't mean that they don't suffer. That means that is a very anti-life approach. Okay, if we're saying that we're voluntarily not breaking someone just because there is a lot of suffering, that is a conscious decision of ourselves. And to include animals into this, just because we think it's right for them, it's genuinely stupid. Even thinking what's right for human is also wrong. Like what Sanjay Gandhi tried to do back in the emergency days. Uh, People were getting sterilized against their will, and though it might have had a very good impact, the problem still remains that people who didn't want to get involved into antinatalism were pushed into it. And I believe that it should be a voluntary choice, not some obligation by others.
If you say that, okay, let's just make all the humans extinct, let the animals stay here, let them experience starvation, natural disasters, let them pointlessly suffer here. Isn't that selfishness or what?
I think his approach is a bit too aggressively violent and extreme towards every point that we make. We never talked about human extinction. We just said that we will produce less until things improve. That's what other species also do by themselves. The rate of procreation during any natural disaster or any kind of extreme stress is going down in every species, from bacteria to all the way up to humans. Whenever there is time of suffering, humans have chose, and even every organism on this earth has chose to produce less, and not voluntarily, it just happens. The difference is that us humans can think voluntarily. He's taking things to a bit extreme, which is actually a little bit infuriating, but I'm trying my best not to snap on his arguments. Let's just see what he has to say. Maybe it's just a rage bait. Let's just test how tolerating I am.
So the only solution to suffering, if you are fighting against suffering, is to make every sentient being extinct. Every conscious living beings which can suffer, which have the capability to suffer, all of them should go extinct. So if you are an antinatalist, then you are a fool. It's as simple as that. So what is your goal? Your goal is, fighting suffering, fighting against suffering, right? So reducing suffering. So if you say that, okay, I'll reduce some suffering and not the others, then you are a fool. Every bad thing in this world is bad because it causes suffering to someone. Every bad thing comes back to suffering. You cannot deny that. Otherwise, you name one thing that is bad, that doesn't have any suffering. Suffering is the only bad thing that exists in this world. And if you say that, okay, some suffering is bad and some suffering can happen, I'll let it happen, then you are an evil piece of shit. Our end goal shouldn't be human extinction. We should try and help animals. That is our moral obligation. We are the only ones who can. We have to understand the fact there is no others who animals can depend upon. So if you ask me,
Actually, I believe animals are very self-reliant. They can depend on themselves. We don't have to intervene in any anything that happens naturally, okay? Let the nature take its own course, and if things happen, things happen. We don't have the authority to invade in their own space and make decisions for them.
Right? So if the whole world goes anti-natalist, the whole world, agrees to make only humans extinct, then us extinction is we will reproduce. We will continue the generations until animal extinction is caused. You have to understand that animals suffer more by quantity and by severity. Animals are more by quantity and their suffering is worse. So let's come to the second problem with antinatalism. Antinatalism clings to the concept of consent, right? We want someone to get educated and go antinatalist voluntarily. That is never going to happen. Voluntary extinction will never happen. Even see, if you make, you have made.
I think his points are more against voluntary extinction rather than antinatalism. Uh, People choose to not have kids is a personal choice, and people choosing extinction is a different choice. I don't think that most of the antinatalists are pro-extinction as per se. Mostly, I believe they are just doing this because they want to live a better life for themselves. They don't uh, want to bring a child because they themselves have suffered a lot and they believe that uh, their act of procreation would bring more suffering, so they voluntarily refuse to participate. That's the point.
Abusing black people as illegal, right? But still that happens. So even if you make reproduction illegal, some morons are going to reproduce. Your movement already failed. Your goal is unachievable logically. It's as simple as that. Also,
I love the way he said logically. Yeah, logically, our reason is like some morons are gonna do it. Yes, that's what we want. Like, the foolish will suffer, and that should be the norm. The intellectual should abstain from suffering once he has seen the pattern which will cause suffering, and there is nothing missing out on that.
as I said, you have to include the animals, right? They are also suffering the same as us in this world. So can you go to a monkey and like, hi, be antinatalist. See, your children are suffering. Can you go to a dog and be like, hi, be an antinatalist. Don't give birth to puppies. These puppies, they are going to have skin diseases. They are going to suffer from accidents. You don't know. Don't do this. The dogs might bite you. They'll be scared. So you shouldn't cling to the concept of consent. So I have already made a video about consent and this topic. So the thing is that not everybody, animals or people, have the intellectual capacity to understand that non-existence is better. The same as you. You have understood that okay, non-existence is better for children, but not everybody can have that intellectual capacity. You cannot expect that. So the third problem. So there are a bunch of antinatalists who claim as being sentiocentric antinatalists. So these antinatalists are, in fact, they are mostly extinctionist for the one part where their solution is not practical. So these sentiocentric antinatalists.
At this point, I would say, bro, just take care of yourself. You're sweating, your whole body is glossing. Maybe take a break. Or maybe he just had a sudden burst of emotions which is causing that. Not commenting on him personally, but I think that you should take care of yourself because you are sweating, my brother.
These they say that okay, every sentient being should go extinct. We agree that. So they say that okay, we need to sterilize these sentient beings, right? So understand one logic.
We have a comment by the useless Owen. He is a top fan. My man, भैया बस आप बच्चा कर लेना वरना ब्लड लाइन की माँ बहन हो जाएगी. ब्लड लाइन की माँ बहन. एक्चुअली हु केयर्स अबाउट ब्लड लाइन? भाई ब्लड लाइन के लिए मैं बता रहा हूँ, मैं स्पर्म बैंक जाऊंगा एंड आई विल donate as much as I can, possibly in multiple sperm banks, and that's how my bloodline shall be preserved. And for women, you can have uh, egg donations. Okay, that's a way to preserve your bloodline because there are many people who are unfertile and they need to have children. Okay, because some people will actually provide a good life. Okay, they will provide a life which will have lesser suffering than the life that I will bring. And if I'm so concerned about bloodlines, maybe start donating your gametes. That's the way. And let me see if the audio is working. They need to have. Maybe I can up the volume a little bit. Okay, that should be good. Let's see.
right? So I agree with them. If you can sterilize all the beings, all sentient beings, up to a point where you can cause total extinction, then I'm fine with it, right? It should be done. But the thing is, it's not going to be possible. So sentient beings range from ants to blue whales. You
See, here's the thing, just because someone suffers doesn't mean that life is bad. We're just saying that it's happening a bit too much. Okay, people are suffering a way bit more, and thus you should withdraw from it, because it's a loop, it's a cycle. And I can assume that probably you haven't had a child yourself. uh, I'll be honest, if you're a middle class Indian with a child and not enough money to provide everything, or maybe you are indoctrinated so much that you might not be able to fulfill his every dream, and thus your child will be left living just like you, or maybe even worse. Okay, it's a very rare occurrence that your child may surpass you and your living standards, because most of the things he will learn will come from you, and that will limit them to what they can be. So in my personal opinion, that is simply a stupid thing, that we should sterilize everyone, and we should make sure that extinction happens. See, extinction is not the point. The point is a better life. Antinatalists are not anti-life, they are pro-life, and that's why we think that every life should be lived on its best conditions. uh, there shouldn't be as much suffering as there is, especially in the third world countries. The life is horrible, and so that I live here, I know how bad it is, and I understand to continue this would be a very foolish choice. Let's see what he has to say.
you cannot pick each and every ant, each and every mosquito up and sterilize them. That's not going to be possible. It's very simple logic. So the next thing, we should go for euthanizing, euthanasia. That is the only solution. So the thing is that some things that I want to clarify is that
My guy is reading script again and again. He has to look down, but it's okay. Sometimes we fumble, that's fine.
one thing I told about extinctionists will reproduce until animal extinction. I understand the fact that reproduction is wrong and it's evil. Definitely, it's unethical. But the thing is, life is not so black and white, right? So sometimes you have to cause some suffering in order to solve some greater suffering. If you don't understand this, you are basically a child. So second thing before I finish the video is that euthanasia. So to be really honest, people are very defensive when it comes to this concept, right? So let's just see the difference between sterilization and euthanasia. So if you sterilize one animal right now, right, the animal is going to suffer for the rest of its life, and it's going to die a slow natural death, right? So euthanasia on the other hand ends the suffering right now. So I don't know why you are defensive. I guess that in the society we have painted this death as something that is really bad. So we are afraid of these words like euthanasia and stuff, and we get defensive. But there is
I believe euthanasia on paper looks amazing, that let's just kill the ones which are not useful to the society or are not well functioning. Uh, Before that, why just bring someone with a possibility that they might be dysfunctional? Why do we have to go down that path? I mean, if you already think that the useless part of the population is to be eliminated, why bring them in the first place if you're so pro euthanasia? Second, I think euthanasia is downright horrible. I believe anyone who is living should have the right to continue living their life. If we are against against any suffering, we are against all kind of suffering, but that shouldn't mean that the living being should be killed for that. I don't believe anyone should be killed just because they are unfit for this world. That happens in nature. The weaker ones already get, you know, killed. But in case of humans, we are the only ones who protect the weaker ones. And sometimes that's not even a possibility. So, in my suggestion, I would say euthanasia is usually bad and it shouldn't be the norm. Okay, antinatalism, on the other hand, as my biology teacher used to tell me, that if someone is not yet born, uh, and you believe that they might have some problems in them, don't let them reach the outer world. Once they are outside, they should have the right to live a complete life.
Really like no valid reason to be defensive. So the thing is always life is not so black and white. Remember that sometimes we have to accept and cause some suffering in order.
Nilesh Pratap Singh, my second biggest fan, just became first biggest fan, says Chicha, big fan, sir, big fan, smiley face, big fan, brother. Thank you so much, Nilesh.
To solve greater suffering, right? It's basically trolley problem. And I hope you leave all your emotions. You think logically what is best to fight against suffering, what is best for all sentient beings who are suffering like you.
Extinctionism is the only thing that can solve. Oh, okay. Now I can just say that this person is a Nazi. That's what I believe. This person is a huge Nazi because they were the ones who believed in euthanasia and whatnot. And his belief is that extinctionism is the only thing that can solve suffering. Mathematically, that's the truth, but that will also end happiness. That will just end everything. We're just saying that we're too many people on this planet. We shouldn't be too many, okay? There are already too many. There is a limited supply of resources. Maybe we should optimize the way the resources are given to the needy, and that would solve many problems, okay? The world has to be improved, but until the world isn't improved, I don't want any individual to be suffering in a very competitive market and not being able to live a happy life. That's what antinatalism is about. And I believe this person's argument is beyond flawed. It's just downright stupid. I just believe that. Okay, I no hate to the person, but his argument is stupid. And because of that, I have to like leave a dislike on this video because I do not agree with what he's saying. Let's read the ओ बाप रे इसने इतना सारा लिख रखा है. Let's read what he has added in the description. This video debunks antinatalism step by step. Why antinatalists are selfish and illogical. What are the problems? Check the video to know more. If you don't know about a problem with it, okay, he made everything like this. Let's see what the comments have to say. Till then, let's see what our live chat has to say. मैं आदि का दोस्त सेंडिंग लिंक वाज मिस्टेक चुपचाप देख ले बहन के लौंडे मुहे है ये कैसा टेक है बंदे का सफरिंग खत्म कैसे करो मर जाओ यार मतलब ये इसका काफी ज्यादा सुसाइडल एंड मतलब ये कौन सा तरीका है कि भाई मेरे को बुरा लग रहा है और दूसरों को भी बुरा लग रहा है इसका मतलब तो आप किसी हॉस्पिटल में बॉम्ब लेके फट जाओ आपकी भी सफरिंग खत्म और लोगों की भी सफरिंग खत्म बट दैट्स नॉट द वे इट शुड हैपन ये बंदा प्रो एक्सटिंक्शन है एंड आई बिलीव ये कुछ पाउडर सूंघ के आता है जिसकी वजह से ये सुबह उठता है और बोलता है भाई सारे आदमी मर जाने चाहिए और सिर्फ आदमी नहीं सारे जानवर भी मर जाने चाहिए मैं पूछ रहा हूँ भाई ठीक है फिर मछलियों का क्या होगा ठीक है पेड़ों का क्या होगा जेलीफिश का क्या होगा ठीक है बाकी बैक्टीरिया का क्या होगा हाँ माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स का क्या होगा फंगस का क्या होगा भाई उनको कौन मारेगा भाई Here's the thing, life happens, life is meant to happen, life will happen anyway. कुछ नया ऑर्गेनिज्म बन के आ जाएगा लेकिन इस इंसान को तब भी मारने की पड़ी हुई है ये पता है वो इंसान लग रहा था मेरे को जो बोलता है ना यू शुड फकिंग किल योरसेल्फ वो वाली चीज लगी मेरे को तो ये आ, नाजी आर यू श्योर अबाउट दैट अरे पेंचो इतना सारा लिख रहा ब्ला ब्ला ब्लू 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 दिस गाय सोल्ड मी रिपोर्ट दिस गाय सोल्ड मी फेंट फेंट में ये कुछ ना कुछ पाउडर मारता है भाई क्योंकि जिस टाइप के इसके टेक्स है ना भाई आई बिलीव दिस इज अ वेरी रेज बेट वीडियो बिकॉज इसने जो भी बोला है ना वो बस रेज इंड्यूस कराने के लिए बोला है जस्ट टू गेट अ रिएक्शन आउट ऑफ एनीवन विद फ्यू ब्रेन सेल्स बिकॉज कौन ऐसा हो सकता है जो ये बोले कि नहीं भाई सबको मर जाना चाहिए एंटी नेटलिस्ट बोलते हैं कि भाई लाइफ अच्छी होनी चाहिए ये थोड़ी कि भाई मार ही डालो सबको यस माय एंटीनेटलिज्म इंक्लूड्स अदर एनि अरे बाप रे ये आगे अग्री करने वाला मेरे एंटीनेटलिज्म में जानवर भी इंक्लूडेड है, दैट्स व्हाई आई एम वीगन। चलो ये अच्छी बात है। I want people to give more consideration to animal through activism. I spend a lot of energy in my life to drive society to change and no longer birth animals we farm to exploit them. I am trying to prevent suffering. चलो अच्छी बात बोल रहा है, अच्छी बात है, ठीक है, ये सेन निकला। फॉर रियल भैया, हिंदी मीडियम वाला इंग्लिश मीडियम में चला गया ये बंदा। ये कोक भी बेच रहा था। नॉट नॉट वो कौन सी कोका कोला। Antinatalist views are not necessarily limited to only humans but encompasses all sentient creature, claiming that coming into existence is harm for found in Wikipedia। अच्छा ठीक है, तो ये इस बात को डबल डाउन कर रहा है कि antinatalism is not only limited to humans but other animals as well। I think that देखो, एनिमल सफ़र करते हैं बट वो उनका कॉन्स्ट्रक्ट है, ठीक है, हम अपने कॉन्स्ट्रक्ट को चेंज कर सकते हैं, इसलिए हम एंटीनेटलिस्ट हैं। एंटीनेटलिज्म इज नॉट फ्लॉड आइडिया।